A grandson.
You go. Okay. Okay. I'm asking that because Chuck Jackson is such a prolific writer, and his first book was Elijah's Easter Suit.
Right.
And I'm saying we're here every time we're invited. And I just want y'all to be invited to buy the brother's book too.
All right.
We got, if principle of Kwanzaa is 7 days, we ought to, has a copy of what's that?
Black Book of Black.
No, I don't even want to say the Black Book of Black. I want to say wait,
Ooh, no, I don't have that.
okay, this is Chuck's second book.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because, everybody think we show up and we just show up and we write poetry. Right. This is our life. Right. This is what we do. Okay. I don't have any other job but writing.
Okay.
And I that's my favorite thing right there, talk to kids. And I'm gonna tell you, y'all ain't got no idea how much fun we have when we find some pens and some paper and write what we believe. But I want y'all to know that this is what we're doing. And Chuck, I'm saying all the education he has, he stopped and he started. He said, man, I'm finna do what God told me to do.
That's right.
So his first book was Elijah. This is the first book of its kind. First book about a little black boy in an Easter suit, about a holiday. So can you imagine in 2025, we're still making first, and it seems like a little small thing, like a Tom Brown Jackson, it seems like a little small thing, like what's her name, Fannie Willis? Mm-hmm. Letitia James seemed like a little small thing, but we're still having first. Right. And we don't write because we want to, we write because we got to.
Come on now.
There's another, I would pick something different. Yeah. Because people don't like all this truth I be dropping. I say, can't you stop talking about slavery? I ain't talking about slavery. I'm talking about yesterday. I think it's a joke. So
right. We can move it.
So y'all give it up for AJ.
The hype man.
Yeah, I am Chuck Jackson. I am a retired school counselor.
All right.
And the stuff that has been going on in the education system has caused me to write some new poems. So I'll be sharing those with y'all for the first time.
All right. I know what the education doing.
And AJ mentioned my book, Elijah's Easter Suit. It was the first book published by a major publisher, Penguin Random House, that features a Black main character that talks about the celebration of Easter from the perspective of the African lens.
All right.
It's the first book of its kind, and it was on a list to be banned in Tennessee.
Wow.
And I wrote this poem in response. Wow. This book is banned for a Black boy smiling, for a brown-skinned girl dreaming too big, for a history lesson that didn't come with a white flag, for a mother loving her child the way they said she shouldn't. This book is banned because truth doesn't tuck in nice and neat at bedtime, because the past makes some people sweat, because a boy in braids is a threat even on a page. They start with the books. They always do. First, they snatch the stories, the ones where we laugh too loud, love too openly, exist too freely. They pull the pages from the hands of children before they can find themselves in the ink. We're just protecting the kids, they say, as they lock the library doors. We're just saving the kids, they say, as they build the prison walls. We're just helping the kids, they say, as they pass laws to erase their names. We're just protecting the kids, they say, as they block the books, as they block the truth, as they block the air from your lungs while you're still learning to breathe, protecting them from what? From curiosity, from compassion, from freedom, from a reflection that smiles back when they expected a shadow. But this isn't about books. It never was. Because today they ban a boy for smiling on the page. Tomorrow they ban him for smiling in the streets. Just ask Emmett Till. Today they strike a line through a girl's dream. Tomorrow they strike her name from the payroll. Just ask Fannie Lou Hamer. Today they lock you up for the words. Tomorrow they lock up the people who speak them. Just ask Angela Davis. But understand this: we have always read in the dark, by candlelight in hush harbors, by moonlight in the great dismal swamp. by daylight stolen from cotton rows, from Sunday schools and freedom schools, from Tuskegee halls to one-room shacks where a child barely taller than the table sounded out the words that they swore we'd never learn. We were never waiting for their permission to read, never needed their lesson plans to learn, never depended on their approval to tell our stories. A banned book is just a spark. A banned book is just a flame they can't stamp out. A banned book is the fire on a tongue, a blaze in a mind, a torch passed hand to hand, a light, the way forward, and a black child smile. At a black child smile in the pages of a banned book. Well, that's the light of a revolution.
Oh, oh my God. That's dope right there, bro. Yeah, that was that.
Wow,
That's yeah, that's dope right there. Oh my God, y'all do it every year.
Like Chuck say, I wish I had some good to offer you, but all I got is bad. And it ain't my fault, you know. We always write new, and we write new because every day there's something else that we didn't see coming that came.
That's right.
Something else you didn't notice because you weren't looking that I had to watch so I can tell you what it was you missed. This is called smoke. There's something in the fire. Could be us still. It's impossible to tell from here. You probably don't remember, or maybe no one ever explained the fact. There's something in the fire. Didn't start with crosses, lightning, bushes. Must believe before embarking on this earthly mission, our hearts were forged in love's ever-burning flame. Could be not. This country has learned to keep whatever truth, whatever remnants of intellectual conversations that survived the Crusades and Middle Passage to a whisper. Every now and again, you witness breathtaking surprises in a bolt of lightning, an under-ocean spring of magma, occasionally a house, car, building, a church, a room. There's something in the fire. You must be willing to get first degree or third degree to receive the message. Some suffrage must be withstanding. Ain't no one here to share the truth with you if you don't get your hands dirty. Break a nail or two, snatch it clear from pollutants from secondhand smoke. Never forget, there's something in the fire if our hearts were forged here. Our souls would still the charming purpose. If Moses spoke directly to the flames, if Herod walked waist deep in ashes of memories, maybe it was biblical. Maybe it was biblical for Southern Christians. Once we retrieved, the picnickers would raise their weapons and fire at will of whatever the unfortunate person's name was, check the gauge, computing how much lead the rope could hold while keeping the black body levitating against gravity. Didn't I tell you? There's something in the fire. Could be not. One of us again, you know they miss it right. You know they miss it right. You know, missing us as if we were planted in fertile soil, as if they grew us like fruit. Strange, eh? Us and trees and trunks and ropes, and it's strange, there's something in the fire. Cameras live, follow us everywhere we go, still claiming self-inflicted. West, east, north, south. Truth abandoned from shore to shore, and still every time labeled as self-inflicted. Ain't nowhere of this skin ever been fond of trees and leaves to hang with them as if we were friends with history. There's something in the fire. For decades, we've been served diseases through chemtrails, mist, fog. You will not see the smoke coming, matches removed, crosses blazing for centuries. Can't seem free of fear if alphabets fail to hold themselves accountable. It is believed dark skin, a burnt offering, an unholy sacrifice. Did I not tell you? There's something in the fire.
I said. That's why we tell you. That's why we tell you.
So there was a book that came out around the end of 2023, 2024. It was called Project 25. Right. Oh, yeah. I wrote this poem in response to some of the things that was in that book.
Project 25.
FBI Memo 1623. Subject, the Black Panther Party's free breakfast for children program. Classification, high threat. It is the assessment of this office that the Free Breakfast for Children program poses a grave threat to national security. Intelligence suggests that providing meals to underprivileged youth fosters an alarming sense of community dependence on party-affiliated initiatives. Furthermore, children are being exposed to radical political ideology disguised as educational instruction, recommendation. Immediate countermeasures to neutralize this influence consider infiltration, surveillance, and disruption of operations. The program must not be allowed to expand. But the Panthers expanded anyway. Because hungry kids can't fight oppression. Because the child who eats learns. Because the child who learns questions. Because the child who questions becomes dangerous. So every morning while America was asleep, the Panthers were wide awake, men in leather jackets, cracking eggs over hot stoves, spatulas scrapping against steel, flipping pancakes alongside revolution. And every morning children came. At first, only 11 at St. Augustine's Episcopal Church in Oakland, but soon thousands gathered at 36 chapters across these United States, smiling, eating, chanting, all power to the people. They want you to remember the Panthers for their guns, but not for their groceries. Not for the grits and orange juice. Not for the bread and bacon served with the side of self-worth. They taught more than math before morning bell. They taught kids their history, taught them to recognize the chains they could not yet see, taught them that free food isn't a handout, it's a human right, and the government took notes. They couldn't kill the program fast enough, so they copied it. Made breakfast a part of the school day, kept the meal, erased the message, feed the bodies, starve the minds. And now, the Heritage Foundation, Project 225 Initiative Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, Chapter 11, Department of Education, page 157, Federal Education Program must be reevaluated and reduced, with particular attention to phasing out dependency-driven initiatives such as Title I and federal free meal programs. These expenditures incentivize reliance on government aid rather than individual responsibility. You see, they want us to believe that this is about responsibility, that cutting meals will teach resilience, that hunger builds character, that food is a privilege, not a right. But they forget their own history. They forget they only created these programs to stop the Panthers' rise. They forget they copied the blueprint, stripped it up with power, and now they want to erase it altogether. Not because the meals are too expensive, but because the minds they feed are too powerful. They fear the same thing today they feared back then. A child who eats learns, a child who learns questions, a child who questions fights. So what do we do now? We do what we have always done. We get in the kitchen. We cook up community. We serve up survival and call it soul food. We teach our children to read between the lines. We make sure the lessons live on, because the Panthers did not just serve breakfast, they served revolution. And it's always on the menu. The only question is, are you hungry, and where are you cooking?
That's that heat.
You know, when I was in school, the bullies used to pick on the weakest people to take their lunch money. This year, the government stopped the food program. So is that the bullies taking the children's lunch money? Is this country a bully? I'm saying, I don't know how we look at things, but we need to look sideways, upside down, right side up high. We need to. There's some things we got to take notice of. The first thing we got to take notice is our children. What are you teaching them? Are they reading? Are they on the third grade level where America says ninth graders are? The whole thing I want you to know is, man, I'm so proud of Brenton Jackson. His name is Brenton Jackson. See, he was in the higher intellectual institutions, minding the minds of children. Then he thought, I ought to write something. So now he write books minding the minds of children.
Teach, brother.
So once you see there's no difference, it's just a difference in mechanism, not methods, not methodology. Sometimes you got to change to teach who needs to learn so they can teach the people that didn't.
Come on, huh?
Anyway, my name's Jeff Houston. I was just saying, I have a conversation every morning at 7:07 a.m. Pacific. Today was episode 1,474 days in a row. So This is coming for your tongue.
Coming for your tongue.
My mother would tell me, pray about it. As if these knees ain't marked up for making pain palatable. My mother would tell me, wait. As if the distance between Emmett and Tamir, Mega and Asada wasn't long enough to fix the broken wings on all the angels who lost their way. Every woman in my lineage, grandmothers included, labeled me a holder of legacies, a torn feather away from 10 hollow tales told by mountaintops, the carrier of dreams, begged me to never close my eyes. How you gonna see the road you're told to walk with head bowed, eyes closed? They purported. The forethought of my forefingers and thumb could master movements, making melodies mysteriously out of magic. My mother told me, pray about it. Practice picking perfect phrases to place proudly in your psalms. These shadows are no longer attached to the form they came with. They sit in the shade. They dance in the dark. Don't get caught up or caught down in sound. Thunder has been known for not telling the truth. Heaven might not be listening. Ain't been a direct link between black men and heaven without a tree, some earth, an officer or that box arriving first. I dreamed in rebellions. Alex left detailed instructions in my DNA. How you gonna go from motionless to motivated? How to move unmovable mountains? History doesn't stand a chance, never did. I've seen mounds of stone tablets crushed. Truth would never stand a chance, not here. Now with the permanent erasure of legacies, who could allow such occurrences to occur with the frequency of a presidentially ordained demolition crew? Makes me wonder if the service of fortified warned such an ungraciously awkward opinions on these plaques. I dream in seditions. Mutinous uprisings, man and minutemen might miss the message and possibly catch your breath. And we've been watching it subtracted for centuries by the infinitesimal segments of steps. Recently, discovered words my ancestors couldn't spell. My father couldn't dream. My grandfather couldn't dream. Father wasn't allowed to say, I write what I write, say what I say for the sake of time. Time is bullied black men brutally, from birth canal to burial box. The cacophony of catastrophes and casualties suffered under constraint. My mother would say, pray about it. As if black men have not been beaten and bludgeoned by blue before the beginning. Can you imagine huddle masses of history holding picket signs marching up your throat? Calling cadence would catch you off guard. Ever catch a dream, dreaming of escape, of a way out? Don't get caught up or caught down. Tsunamis has been known for lying too often. My mother would ask me, can't you still sing? Can't you pull me in mind from your belly and yell it to the sun? Some of that go down, swing low, fleeting melodies of the fallen. Ain't there a lake nearby? A baptismal, a bathtub. Ain't your bones already moving like it's Sunday morning, singing serenades for you for a Saturday sunsetting seance? Ain't your speech bending its back against your will, telling them ghosts to get to work, pick that cotton, drop them seeds, American need new trees, bigger limbs unaware of her guilty pleasures? My mother told me, pray about it. As if one black boy's knees could grow a mountain. Wishing these feelings won't get trapped between cloud and sky. She told me once heaven starts listening, a horde of angels will gather their trumpets, wings, and weapons, and be coming for your tongue. Wow. I just want to say how I want to thank Pastor Tom and my brother Chapman. It's an honor. I don't know if y'all know what it takes. How much of you, my question is, how much of you are you willing to sacrifice for your dream?
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you bring all with you? Or do you know where your all is? Is it comfortable sharing all with other people, with other folk you don't know? Did all see you do what you need to do and come along because he said you got this?
Sure.
I just got a question.
Thank y'all. So why they ready?
Thank you.
Come on, put your hand together.
All right. Get it again, Chuck.
Like Rick said, they did it again.
It is.
Come on, let's encourage them. Come on. Come on. AJ, Elbert, let's see if we can get you around here, because you're going to do this for just, okay. Okay. Yeah, come on. Yeah. He's come on, Kay. Bring on, come on, bring on. And on your program, it says giving, and everything costs. How many of y'all know that?
Oh, yeah.
Everything costs. But what we're gonna do is this is that we're gonna give on our way out. There's gonna be two people at the door,
Okay.
and they're going to be holding a tray,
Okay.
and you give on the way out. How about that? Because I want to hear from Dr. Delaney.
All right. I was saying.
Y'all too, I want to hear from him. We are grateful for to each of you for being here. We're going to hear Elder Savannah Brooks is going to make the introduction.
Okay.
And then we're going to ask Dr. Delaney to come and do what he uniquely does for as sharing and impacting and affecting in a very life-affirming way. And so we're going to do that. El Brooks is coming now, but I want you to put your hands together for everybody who's been, come on.
Ujima.
Jima.
Habaragani.
Jima.
Okay, there you go. It is both an honor and a privilege to introduce our speaker today, Dr. W. Marvin Delaney, a distinguished scholar, historian, educator, and public intellectual whose life's work has helped us better understand the African American experience, the struggle for justice, and the enduring power of truth. Dr. Delaney is a nationally respected historian, widely known for his scholarship on African American history, the civil rights movement, and the complex relationship between race, law enforcement, and public policy. He is Professor Emeritus of History at the University of Texas at Arlington, where he taught for decades and shaped generations of students with intellectual rigor, moral clarity, and historical honesty. His research and writing have taken him far beyond the classroom. Dr. Delaney has served as a consultant, author, and advisor on numerous historical projects, documentaries, and public initiatives. He is the author and editor of several important works, including Black Police in America and Fort Worth's African American leaders and their communities. Texts that do more than record history, they challenge us to wrestle with it. Yeah. What sets Dr. Delaney apart is not only his scholarship, but his commitment to public history. History that speaks to communities, informs civic life, and helps us understand how the past continues to shape our present realities. He reminds us that history is not simply about what happened, but about what matters. Today, we are blessed to hear from someone who brings depth, wisdom, and perspective, someone who tells the truth and courage with courage and teaches with grace. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. W. William Delaney.
Okay, we look at good. We got a PowerPoint on the screen. And, let me start off with by saying, Habari Gandhi.
Ujima.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Savannah. Savannah, of course, one of my former students from the Upward Bound program at Texas Christian University.
Okay.
I see another one of my former students in the audience, Blake Morgan, who of course is with the city of Fort Worth. He, of course, is at GCU and UTA. And of course, his lovely wife, Carletta, is with him.
Yeah.
One of my best friends who hired me when I first came to Dallas and Fort Worth is Susan Conway, is also sitting there by Savannah. So with all of that, let's jump into this and let me just sort of tell you that I'm going to talk about the ancestors.
Come on with it. All right.
I just realized that Dr. Sufficient Hill is here.
Yes.
My goodness. She led our program at the African American Museum yesterday,
Okay.
of course, on, what was that? Self-determination. Yes, indeed. So I gave a couple examples of the vein of self-determination. Today, we're going to look at collective work and responsibility. And young people, I want you to sort of pay attention to a lot of this because it's going to, again, deal with people you don't hear about most of the time. In fact, in some cases, never in our public schools. And so I want to talk about a lot of these people. So let me see if this works. No, it's not going to work. I think I am too far. I thought I would be able to do it. So, okay. You're going to do this for me? I'll just holler at you.
That's how you do me.
Since I'm too far from it to make it move myself. Anyway, you see a slide up there on Dr. Carter G. Woodson, and this is my shameless plug for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. I served as the president of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History from 2022 to 2024. And of course, guess what? This is just going to blow you by. I've been a member of the association since 1972.
Wow.
My advisor at Central State, my advisor at Central State University, when I graduated in, again, 1972, paid for my first membership. And I continue to be a member, again, publishing in the journal, of course, the Black History Month programs. And of course, you see our founder, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, again, one of our most important ancestors. Yesterday, I talked about the Black Studies movement as an example, again, of self-determination and how Dr. Woodson sort of led that early in the 20th century so that myself, Dr. Hill, and other African-American historians could literally take his foundation and bring it to the people, particularly to our young people, teaching our history. I used an example yesterday of course, how education in the South for our children was indeed distorted, that Black teachers could not teach our history. I cited a book. It was by Jarvis Gibbons called Fugitive Pedagogy, how teachers in the South teaching in Black schools, who indeed were not allowed to teach Black history, kept Dr. Woodson's book in their lab, well, one of his books, in their lab, hiding it from the principal, hiding it from the superintendent, who indeed would come around looking and checking on the potential, what they were teaching. And indeed, though, they got away with it, again, by doing something fugitive that was against the law. And that is keeping his book, The Negro in Our History, in their laps in order to teach our children and the children then about our history. Wow. So today, I'm going to, of course, talk about history. Let's go to the next slide. All right. We want to talk a little bit about social capital. What we're talking about when we say collective work and responsibility, we're indeed talking about social responsibility. We're talking about social capital. The things that all of us should be doing in our community. That indeed we should, as you say, uh, act of collective working responsibilities through our families, through our churches, and I forgot to thank Dr. Bell. You know, when you get my age, things sort of go by you real quick. Okay? I've slowed down in my old age. But Dr. Bell, thank you for the invitation. Donna, thank you for providing me with information about me. And indeed, I see this as part of my social capital, part of my collective working responsibilities. Let me say something to the two brothers who did the poetry. You took me back to 1970. We had the last poets. You see what I compared?
Oh, yeah.
Comparing you two.
Right.
In 1970, the only thing missing in your presentation, you should have used them, was the cowgirls and the bongos.
We normally do.
Because that's what they did at Central State University in 1970. So thank you, brothers, for the poetry. Again, social capital is what we're talking about and how we have to act to indeed provide our communities, our collective work, and indeed to be responsible for what we need to do in our communities. Go to the next one. Okay. Now, you see macro versus micro history. Now, macro, for example, of course, is we look at the big picture. And sometimes in the micro, it's lost. So that, for example, when we think of the civil rights movement, and that's where we're going, when we think of the civil rights movement, we think of Dr. King and Rosa Parks,
Right.
and that national movement.
Yeah.
But we forget. At the micro level, we had a civil rights movement. And here in Fort Worth and in Dallas, you know, we had Clarence Davis. We had a number of other people who participated in that movement and indeed made it happen. So I'm going to deal with some of that today. All right, so the national movement versus the local level. So today, this is what we're going to look at. We're going to move from the classical civil rights movement, which I'll deal with just briefly, to indeed look at what we call the local movement. Now, when we talk about the classical civil rights movement, we're basically talking about what happened after 1954, what happened from 1955, or since 1955 to 1956 up to the 70s. But we want to talk about the long movement, which goes back before 1954, before 1955 and 56. So let's go to the next slide. All right. I thought I'd do an interesting chart here. As I was looking at Dallas history and Fort Worth history, I was looking at the similarities, how things seem to have happened in both cities among African Americans in the similar vein, that there was sort of a parallel history. And you see, for example, the first Negro police officer, and you know I had to go to the police first, right? Of that book I wrote 20 years ago. But anyway, you see indeed, Negro Chamber of Commerce. One of the things I don't have up here is sort of the parallel between the civil rights movement in both cities. Lenore Rama, so you see him pulling up
Yes.
one of those ancestors' names,
Uh-huh.
literally said that some people thought that the civil rights movement bypassed Fort Worth.
Right.
No. Similarly, there's a journalist in Dallas who literally says that Dallas didn't have a civil rights movement.
Right.
And of course, basically, that's not right. That is wrong. So let's, again, I want you to see some of the things that show the parallels between the history of African Americans in Dallas and the parallels of the history of African Americans in Fort Worth. That indeed, there's this parallel history. And I'll come back around to this at the end, showing you, for example, how the schools desegregated. And again, I'm trying not to be too long, so I'm going to sort of move through this pretty quickly. Let's go to the next slide. All right. You see, one of the myths is that there was no civil rights movement in Texas. Again, we're sort of at the macro level, looking at the movement. And once again, we see some of the reasons they say there was no civil rights movement, because there allegedly was not a reason for there to be one. Okay? For example, you see the belief that Texas was Western. It's cowboys and cavalry ranging and cattle drives.
No.
Not segregation, not racism, not the discrimination, which we typically associate with, well, let's say Mississippi and Alabama, where I was born. Okay, but yes, Texas did have a civil rights movement for sure. And of course, you see though how allegedly it happened. You could add to that Dallas way, the Fort Worth way.
Yeah, they say
It's essentially the same thing as I'm going to show happened. And again, I use the civil rights movement because it's probably the most powerful example of collective work and responsibility. Okay? That all kinds of people got involved and engaged and made it happen. It was people in our community, from bus drivers and seamstresses and maids, indeed to teachers and lawyers and doctors in our community. Basically, people had no choice but to engage and get involved, and indeed to act on collective work and responsibility. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, those were the goals of the movement. And you see some basic things that we need, that all people need: education, housing, employment, voting, public accommodations were some of the goals of the movement, the things that people acted on to remove the discrimination, to remove the segregation, and indeed to give all of us equal equality and equal opportunity. Again, and they did this, again, by collective work and responsibility. Go to the next slide. I'm trying to get through this pretty quickly. Charles Hamilton Houston touched you who he was. He was a dean of the law school at Howard University in 1935. He published a report on what needed to be done to provide African Americans, particularly in the South, quality, equal education. He did a study of Southern education in the early 30s, and of course, basically, he took sort of his base from the Plessy versus Ferguson decision in 1896, which of course said that everything should be separate but equal. And of course, this study showed education in the South for African Americans was definitely not equal. So he came up with this three-pronged plan, which will sort of play itself out in Dallas and in Fort Worth. So let's go to the next slide. This is his three-pronged plan. And you see 3 points there: provide transportation to African American students, equalize the salaries of black teachers for those white teachers, provide graduate and professional schools for African American students in the South, because there were no black law schools, there were no black medical schools. And so basically, even though you had Prairie View, you did not have a law school or a medical school that African Americans could attend in the state of Texas. So again, we're still sort of at that macro level. So let's get down to the micro. Yes. All right. Let's go to the next slide. All right. William Madison McDonald. Of course, we all know him. Okay. One of the most important Republicans in the state of Texas and in the South. Of course, he starts a bank. He owns this big house that's still standing here in Fort Worth. But most importantly, he was one of those black Republicans that fought the white Republicans when they tried to divide the party, and more specifically, when they tried to get rid of African Americans as members of the Republican Party. Now, some of you are probably looking at me a little strange.
No,
Republicans, we know today,
Right.
okay, where are these,
I see it.
White baton.
Like the tongue.
That's the white baton. Well, I'm just saying, these hate mongers.
There you go.
These MAGA folks who don't want African Americans in the party, so they sort of reverted back in a way to the early 20th century Republican Party in the South. And the party that divided, some of you know this history, between the lily whites
Yeah.
and the black and tans. And of course, McDonald was one of the black and tans who fought the lily whites. Well, you know, obviously the lily whites we tried to do, get rid of us.
Right.
When indeed we were the foundation of the Republican Party in the South.
Right.
Frederick Douglass said, you know, the Republican Party is the ship and everything else is the sea. And the Republican Party, you know, led by, well, let's say people like Robert Smalls.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that day.
Yes, sir.
And I went outside of Texas to South Carolina because he's sort of the best example of what black Republicans did in the South during and after Reconstruction. That is, he established the South's first public school system. Okay? Henry Moore, for example, from Harrison County, proposed a legislation to create the public school system here in Texas. And I went back to Robert Smalls because, of course, a friend of mine, possibly a former friend of mine, compares himself to Robert Smalls. Who am I talking about from South Carolina? Tim Scott. Tim Scott, yes. No way. Not even close. Again, Robert Smalls helped us create the Texas public school system, served on the Board of Education in Beaufort County, served in the legislature for 5 terms, made sure African Americans got their share of the money that they were dispensing through, well, let's say, not graft, but basically sharing the wealth that our taxes provided our country. All right, so William Madison McDonald then was indeed a member of the Black and Tans, did so much here in Fort Worth. You know, built that hall off of 287, that is one of the best looking ones in the country, and of course started his bank in 1906 here in Fort Worth. Let's go to the next slide. All right, education. I am terrible. And of course, N.W. Harley, you are very familiar with these people. So again, I'm talking about these ancestors who made a difference, who did it.
Right.
I Terrell, 30-something years here in Fort Worth as a public school administrator, and of course was president of Prairie View for a short period of time. Then N.W. Harley. Now the big difference between these two men, so basically I'm showing probably the most important educational leaders in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And in Dallas. N.W. Harley ran out of North Carolina in 1888 because of the fact that they no longer wanted African Americans to serve in the state government in North Carolina. And so he came to Dallas in 1888. He became a school teacher, was head of the colored division of the Texas State Fair, and indeed became the superintendent of public education, or colored education.
Okay.
To be clear here.
Right.
That indeed the early 20th century is colored education versus white education.
Right.
Both men.
Right.
Both men indeed. Acting again, I said, keep repeating this. Acting on what? Acting on, see if you get it. Collective working responsibility. Let's go to the next slide. All right, these are 2 men
I don't know.
from Dallas.
Jackson.
Okay, I'm showing these sort of leaders in the city of Dallas who, of course, have their parallels here in Fort Worth.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, there's Antonio Maciel Smith, who became the executive secretary of the Dallas Negro Chamber of Commerce in 1933. And then Maynard Jackson Sr., for some of you should recognize, the name of Maynard Jackson.
Yes. Okay.
His son, of course, moved to Atlanta in 1945. And of course, his son grew up in Atlanta and became the city's first black mayor. Okay. Of course, a longer story, and I'm going to try to keep some of this brief because this is a very long story, but Maynard Jackson was the first African American to run for the school board in Dallas in 1944. And of course, as a result, they ran him out of town.
Oh, okay.
And they threatened his life. They used to harass him, phone calls, sort of like what the MAGA folks do today.
Right.
So he had to leave Dallas. He was the president of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, okay, which still exists. It was founded in 1926 in Dallas. And of course, they took those words again, collective work and responsibility, seriously. And as I'm going to show, in the 1930s, they formed a political organization. In fact, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, there it is. They formed a political association called the Progressive Voters League that you saw earlier. There was an organization called the Colored Progressive Club that formed here in Fort Worth in 1915. So they sort of emulated what had been done in Fort Worth by forming a political association in Dallas. Now, let me just do one thing here. One of the things that the Colored Progressive Club in Fort Worth tried to do was give the city government some demands that they wanted and some things that they wanted to do. So they had basically a 3-point program. They wanted a black-owned newspaper because at the time in 1915 there was no black-owned newspaper in Fort Worth. They wanted a social center for Negroes. Then, of course, they wanted a public park, and as we know, they eventually got a public park, Frederick Douglass Park. Now, the Progressive Voters League in 1936, after they formed, they had a 4-point program of demands. They wanted a new high school. They wanted a new Negro housing project. They wanted city jobs. And finally, as we will see later here in Fort Worth, they wanted Negro police officers on the Dallas police force. One of the interesting things with the Progressive Voters League, that after they formed this political association, the Progressive Voters League, they indeed got 10,000 African Americans to register to vote. And this again is in 1936 and 1937. And they campaigned, they started paying your poll tax campaign. Of course, they got 10,000 African Americans to pay the